Hi, this is Jim Leuchtenschlag, Practice Director for GlobalNow. The purpose of this video is to give some context to the inputs and outputs of the software testing automation ROI calculator. And the purpose of the calculator is to show at a high level the financial impact of in terms of ROI and the time to achieve that ROI in taking on an automation program. So we'll jump into the calculator and we'll start over here on the left side. The number of test cases, think regression test here, and this is the number of tests that you perform on your software application before you move it into production. I'm going to put a number of 200 here, and then we'll move to supported browsers. So there's 4 main browsers in the market today. You could also think about here, if you have a desktop application, this would be the number of versions that you support for that desktop application, and if you have both, you'd want to add those two together here. So I'll put in 2, assuming we just have a web application and we support 2 browsers. Number of platforms, this of course 3 main platforms out there, iOS, Android, and BlackBerry. I'm just going to put in 2, assuming we use just iOS and Android in our case here. And then release cycles per year SDLC, how many times you deploy major software releases to production. I'm going to put in 12 once a month on average. So we'll move over to the right hand side, and these are preloaded with some GlobalNow experience data, and you're able to actually make any changes to any of these fields. We just seeded it with some values that we felt based on our experience made a lot of sense. Average minutes to execute and verify a single test. This is the time it takes to manually execute a single test on a single platform or mobile device. And look at the results, work with a developer if there's a problem, or just document the results. 10 minutes is on average what we've experienced that to be. Moving to the next, minutes to automate a single test, 45. So we've preloaded that. In our experience, it takes about 45 minutes to record and work in the software automation tools and get a test to actually run. So that's what that indicates. So 45 minutes to actually automate a test that takes generally 10 minutes to run. And then average percentage of test cases per release. This is 10%, and really this speaks to the rate of change of your application. So 10%, if you're releasing 12 times a year, what this is saying is you're changing 10% of your application each release, and that may be total replacement, that may be additional functionality, but what this will actually mean is there's about 20 new test cases every release that we have to essentially re-automate or automate for the first time. And then the average hourly loaded cost for a testing resource, we've pegged that at $40 per hour. You can put in whatever cost that you see in your organization. So I'll hit the button, calculate the ROI, and get the results. And what you'll see here is there's the first 2 lines are costs related to a manual program. So manual testing cycle per cycle cost is $5,300, and then 12 major releases times 12, and you get $64,000. For automation, there's several cost components to it that we'll need to add together. So there's the first time automation cost, and that's using the tools, building the automation for the 200 test cases that we described on the previous screen. So whatever number you put in, that'll obviously change this value when you get here. But that's a one-time cost that it takes to bite the bullet and essentially build the test suite. And then you have 2 ongoing costs, and these are both per cycle. You have the execution of the automation suite, and this is really looking at setting it off, looking at the results, and resolving any problems that you may see in the results. Working with developers, adjusting some test data, what have you. Significantly less than obviously performing each test manually. You have an ongoing maintenance component to the automation, of course, and that speaks to the 10%, 20 cases per cycle that we talked about on the previous slide. that happens every cycle. Your application is changing. You're going to have to create new tests. You're going to have to update old tests. So that's what this one speaks to, and we used a 10% change on the previous slide. So that's how we get these numbers. And when you add all these three components together on an annual basis, you'll see the first year testing cost is approximately $40,000. And the difference between a manual program and an automated program is about $24,000 in favor of automation. And if you think about that, you're not going to have that one-time cost in years 2, 3, 4, etc. So those savings are going to start to accelerate in your program. When you move over to the right, you see a graph, and the graph kind of shows you that in cycle 6, that's your kind of crossover point to where the manual and the automated testing costs are on par with each other. And obviously on the other side of that point, you're going to start to save money with an automated program. So you're welcome to come in here and click this button and try other scenarios. And I would suggest you run this a couple times, especially if you have you're maybe testing and maybe doing some shortcuts, not testing all the browsers, not really running all the tests because maybe you don't have the testing resource, just the available resources to do all the testing that you really want to do. But if you were able to maybe automate some of that stuff, maybe you would actually generate more tests. So run it a few times with a few different scenarios and kind of see what your goalposts are with this. And of course, we would love to hear from you. We would appreciate the opportunity to learn more about you and your company and your testing challenges and discuss how we might be able to help. So if you find some value in here, we would really love for you to come in here and put in your email address, name, and contact information, and click the Yes, I Want to Learn More button, and we would certainly be reaching out to you to make contact and learn more about you and tell you more about us. So hopefully you find this tool helpful to you, and look forward to hearing from you.